Chess is a beautiful game. This video and this game will reignite your passion for this beautiful game. It's black to play in this position. When I saw this game, I told myself I have to make a video about this to give joy to my subscribers. I might even put this position to my workbook for the Art of Series. It looks like a boring, symmetrical Slav endgame. Pawn structure is symmetrical. The rooks are going to be traded off very, very soon. What are you playing for? We are going to sleep soon, right? Exactly in that moment, a bolt out of blue happens and black takes over the game. Creativity, folks. Please stop the video. I will give you a chance to stop the video right now and find that beautiful hidden resource that changed the entire evaluation in this position. Black to play, find that beautiful move that gives black a big advantage. Folks, comes my first prompt for you. Have you seen the king on d3 has no square whatsoever to move into? When the enemy king has 0 legal squares like this to move into, then we must be very, very careful in going through every single tactical resource and options to exploit this factor. That clumsy knight is blocking the king as well. The pawn is blocking the king from moving. This bishop is slicing towards the king and the entire c-file. The king looks very active at first sight, no? It's an endgame. The king is beautifully placed on d3. In fact, I challenge you. It's running short of squares. Please use this prompt. At least generate one candidate move for black. Given this observation, one candidate move should appear to your mind if you have some good tactical eye and show some triple-eye calculations to exploit this. Yes, folks. First things first. Knight e4 becomes our candidate move. Why? Because if you take my knight, if you play checkers, then we just recapture and the king is mated. This short line is a nice supporting variation to justify the move knight e4. We generate knight e4 candidate given the state of the white's king. But what if they take our rook first? And after we take back, they take our knights? Then comes my question to you. Knight e4, rook takes c8. What are you seeing, folks? Of course, the bishop being a loose piece on f2 also helps strengthen the move knight e4. Knight takes f2 comes with check, Zwischenschach, as Germans say, intermediate check in English, and you win the bishop, and then you take the rook on the next turn. Black has an extra piece. These two supporting variations should really make you excited in exploring the move, forward move, knight e4. That's the game continuation, folks. Artemiev played this move in a rapid game against Vugar Rasulov. Okay, that's the two grandmasters playing rapid game. Imagine making a move like this in your game. You see, we're not playing checkers. Most of us mortals will just take the rook without thinking, and this gives white no problems. White is very close to equality in this position, right? But you see, the grandmaster keeps the tension and asks a question to white, exploiting these mobility restrictions of the white king. Beautiful checkmate. You can even checkmate like this, by the way. Both captures are mates. And the other main option we looked at is if you take my rook, comes Zwischenschach, the king has no way to go and attack that knight, and then you just grab the rook, extra piece, winning position for black. Go back, folks. We're not even done. We will discover all the other ideas behind the move knight e4. Okay? Your bishop is hanging, you cannot touch my knight, you cannot capture on c8 either. Let's look at the move rook f1, or maybe start from this. What if he simply drops back the bishop to e1, right? Because, well, the bishop is no longer hanging, they're offering a piece trade. Comes the final problem with this move, folks. Well, the rook is now tied down in guarding the bishop, so I first remove your defender, followed by bishop takes e1, and the game is completely finished because after takes, this is completely a winning endgame for black in this position. The bishop collects all his pawns, it's gone. Let's continue, folks. After knight e4, what if the bishop drops back to g1? You might say, what's the point? Well, in this case, can you see? The knight is now becoming a tied down piece on that loose pawn on g3. The bishop no longer guards that pawn. Thus, we remove the defender by first taking on c1 and then cash in on that pawn, extra pawn, with a completely winning position for black as well. This means bishop e1 doesn't work, bishop g1 doesn't work, well, rook c8 doesn't work, take doesn't work. Thus, the white player had to play the move rook f1. Can you see the direct effect of the forward move, impossible looking strong move, knight e4 on the white's position? Now you got yourself a free open file, and that rook went to passivity, terribly, defending a tall pawn on f2 in his position. Please observe loose pieces and pawns in his position and find a good decision for black in his position. The knight is still not touchable because if you take that knight, then you get mated. Okay? But I want you to make a knight move to exploit the loose pawn in his position. Create a double attack, please. That wins a pawn for nothing. Have you seen the f3 pawn, guys? That's a loose pawn. Why? It has 0 attackers and 0 defenders. That's how we define a loose piece or a pawn in chess. Equal number of attackers and defenders. Once you see it, this candidate appears to your mind, right? Knight d2, double attack, basically. Double attack, and black is winning a pawn on the next turn. Rook d1, game continuation, knight f3. As a result of the forward move, we cashed in on a pawn on f3. You might say the knight looks trappable. The knight has no retreat squares from there. Surely they can capture and trap our knight, right? No, it's not easy at all, because first of all, the knight can always escape via the g4 point. Second of all, it's even not easy for white to simply attack that knight. It will take them a long time. Knight f4 was the game continuation. The problem with this move is that now rook c3 options are becoming available to black. But if you're scared about the king e2 idea, then you can play the move knight h2. Game continuation. The knight safely retreats via this g4 outpost. Everything is safe and protected. Black cashed in on the extra pawn. The bishop is still a tall pawn on f2. Black is achieving completely winning position. Rook c3 comes a check. Rook c2 invasion. The second rank happens as well. And now black wins one more pawn on a2 while also guarding their knight on h2. 2 extra pawns for black with a completely winning position. Now, I'll even show you until the very end. White player played the move h5. Well, if you take my knight, then 2 pawns down, you have no chance in this position. Plus, the rook is also now tied down in guarding against checkmate on d2, right? If the rook activates, then rook d2 is mate. Your problems remain in terms of your king's mobility restrictions, folks. And if you block that with knight e2, black can even target your next weakness on g3. a6 defends the pawn. Rook g2 attacks the pawn. White has no chance whatsoever to defend this position. 2 extra pawns. It's completely game over. Thus, white chose to play h5. Looks active, but this allows the knight to strongly come back to the game on f3. And please, guys, now comes a beautiful part. H takes g6. Please find that forcing finish for black. The problems remain in terms of white's king safety. The king still has no moves, right? Let's train our checkmate skills, folks. The king has no moves, and you have 3 pieces on the attack. Please stop the video and find that forcing finish for black. You're a great player, folks, if you found the move knight e1. Why? Because that rook is tied down in guarding against rook d2 checkmate. Knight e1 hits the king. The king has no squares, as we already know. And now the game is totally finished with rook d2 mate. That's how this game ended, folks. Look at that knight. The knight even showed its teeth until the very end. That annoying knight led to checkmate in 2 by sacrificing itself on the e1 square. So what is the conclusion from this, folks? It looks like a boring Slav endgame. Everything is symmetrical. Everything will be faded off. The game will end in a draw very, very soon. And out of blue, black finds this knight e4 resource. That's why chess is a difficult game. Also a beautiful game that you should have a keen eye in seeing those tactical options. In this case, yes, we are talking about basic checkmate patterns. When it comes to tactical eye, I mean, can you see the king on d3 is running short of squares from this position? Because that will lead you to even come up with an idea like knight e4 from this position, right? Otherwise, it just looks ridiculous. You have to have some sort of logic, some sort of vision behind the move knight e4. You cannot find the move by brute force, check, capture, threat at all times, right? Yeah, it just attacks the bishop on f2. But if you continuously, blindly apply that checklist, then you can also lose on time. So we also have to create a keen eye in smelling some tactical cues from the environment. And I'm sure Artemiev have seen this king being restricted in mobility. to come up with the idea of knight e4. But you see, we're not even ending there because there are so many supporting variations. For example, knight f2, Zwischenschach was very important to defeat the move rook takes c8, right? Because if you take the rook, then, well, the knight can be captured. There's no more mate, and the rook is gone, right? So you have to justify this idea by some couple of interesting variations, yeah? Not deep variations, by the way. This is a very, very short calculation, right? Knight takes with check, and you take on c8 on the next turn. And you see, using such small tactics, short calculations, black is achieving a dominant positional game. Because now you get the open file for yourself. The knight became an excellent piece with new possibilities and new targets of attack, like the pawn on f3. Isn't it beautiful? This little double attack as well. The knight shows its teeth. Extra pawn is gobbled. Once again, folks, until the very end. Knight h2 returns back to game via g4. White has no counterattack. Check, check. Effect of the knight again. The rook gets a second rank by force. And then black gobbles up one more pawn. White doesn't chop off that strong knight. And the knight shows its teeth again by inducing this checkmate attack. Isn't it beautiful? When I see games like this, I'm like, boy, chess is an amazing game, and I need to show this to my students on YouTube. This will be your homework position, folks. Black to play. Please tell me what black should play in this position. That's from an actual game between Karpov and Antunes. Antunes missed this beautiful resource for black in this position and went on to lose this game. Well, it looks like you're facing some issues, yeah? Rook c8 is the instant threat, not to mention ideas like bishop b6 followed by maybe take on a5. So observing the situation, I want you to create one beautiful idea for black that might change things drastically. Okay? Give yourselves more choices. See some tactical issues, just as Artemiev did while looking at the king's safety for the opponent. Come up with an idea, please, for black that turns the tables from this position. I hope you got some good lessons and appreciate the true beauty of chess. Hope your tactical eye improves and you'll start considering options that you never thought would be possible before. See you on the next episode. Bye-bye.